Hey everybody, I was asked to read the following on behalf of Ethan and Caroline. We, the parties of Ethan and Caroline, having lost the Golden Globes pool, do hereby proclaim Eli as the king champion of movie watchers and henceforth agree to whatever punishment Eli may bestow. Can you bestow a punishment? Is that grammatically correct? On this episode of I Need to See That, our Golden Globe reactions. I watch every award show. I don't watch the Grammys because they make me feel old. Because when I watch the Grammys, it's like people 20 years younger than me. And then the only bands I recognize are like dad bands. And I'm like, ugh, I'm a dad. Other than that, I watch every award show and I always
The
defend
Kids'
award
Choice
shows.
Awards? The
I
Kids'
watch
Choice
the
Awards?
Kids. All right, I don't watch the Kids' Choice. Do they slime still? Last time I saw the Kids' Choice Awards, it was like CGI slime, and I just couldn't with that.
That's not right.
That's bad.
We fought for slime.
Make America slime again. But every year, critics say like, "Oh, that award show was horrible," and I will always come back and say, "Nah, it was fun. Come on, don't take yourself so seriously. The award show was fun." I thought last night's award show was a hot mess. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was a really bad show.
Horrifying. It was bad.
I was in a bad mood because the Bears lost, but then I was in a good mood because I didn't have to exit out of Paramount Plus, not yet a sponsor, but maybe one day, to just watch the Golden Globes, just back-to-back travesties. Bear game, Golden Globes. I made enchiladas from HelloFresh, not a sponsor, but maybe one day.
I slept on my Casper mattress, not a sponsor, but maybe one day.
And I protected my home with Ring security. It was fine. Whatever. It's a dumb show.
The way it was, Joe Coy aside, we'll get into Joe Coy. Joe Coy aside, the way the show was filmed, the circle in the round aspect of it, or theater in the round aspect of it, the presenters turning their butts to the audience and talking directly into the camera, it just didn't work for me, and it was almost a joke by the end of anytime somebody won, they were like, how do I get to the stage? I think Anatomy of a Fall was the one that won, and then as they were getting to the stage, Kevin Costner was just like in their way having a conversation and didn't move.
Oh my God. I know. The most haunting image of the night was when Oprah was announcing Best Picture for drama, and the way the camera was shot. They only showed the table that was mostly empty at this point, and only Jared Leto was at the table. And they could not get focused to where we showed the rest of the audience. And that was, you know what, that would keep me from award shows the rest of my life if all I saw was Jared Leto staring with those haunting blue eyes in the corner of the screen.
So anyway, this is I Need to See That, a podcast about movies. I'm Eli.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Ethan.
I remembered. A little late. Thank you for listening, listeners. Thank you for listening. There, I did it. I thanked our listeners. Thank you especially to those listening in Ireland. How do you fix the Golden Globes? That's going to be my question of the podcast. Let's fix the Golden Globes. And I think my problem with the show last night, more than anything, was it was very cookie cutter. Not just the winners. We'll get into the winners. But It was very much, here's our next presentation. They come up, they give the award, it's over. On paper, that's what people have been asking for years. Like, it pretty much ended like 2 minutes late, which is unheard of in the award show. But it was one of my least favorite award shows I've ever watched. And the things they cut, I'm guessing they probably cut montages, although Golden Globes don't historically do too many montages. I'm guessing they cut a lot of jokes. It felt like acceptance speeches were maybe 10 seconds. They got maybe 10 seconds to just come up and say thank you and then leave. They cut the in memoriam. They cut what's the honorary award they give?
It's both the Carol Burnett and the Cecil B. DeMille, which I read about. They said they cut it because there were too many categories.
You can't add fake categories and then say there are too many categories, though, right?
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
When I think of the Golden Globes, I think it's supposed to be the party, right? It's supposed to be everyone's having a good time and it's fun and it's funny. And I just didn't feel that. Like everyone who was in attendance looked like hostages.
Yeah, there should have been more alcohol. There should have been a more celebration of the year. There should have been more jokes about the strikes. There should have been those like, those bits that some hosts will do. Some of them are terrible, but once in a while, a couple of them really work. They should have let more comedians present and have good bits. Yeah, it was just very, very boring show. They could have just released the winners on Twitter like they did 2 years ago.
Right. The thing with what is supposed to be fun about the Golden Globes is the fact that you get to see all these people interacting at the different tables. I will say, maybe a highlight for me was watching Kylie and Timothy kiss. That was maybe a top 2 moment for me. Every time they cut to them, great. This was great.
I saw that, and I went, Chalamet's going to win this Golden Globe. I was right. For this moment, I was right.
Well, he did leave early. I think he was at the Jared Leto table, and I think they left, maybe 20 minutes before the end of the show. The issue with Joe Coy as the host is, like, I think the host is supposed to be a little bit in on it with the audience, and it felt like he was in a completely different room than the audience he was with. And that was the issue I had.
So let's get into Joe Coy. Let's get into HostGate 2024. Joe Coy, very popular comedian, actually. He's been around forever. He was a club guy. He's currently selling out stadiums, basically. His act is very much about his childhood and his family and being a dad and his mother and being Filipino. That is very much his act and didn't translate to a movie award show. I want to have a larger conversation about what we look for in hosts. And as I was thinking about it, I was wondering, when did hosting an award show become I am roasting an award show?
Gervais.
Was it with Gervais?
It's got to be because you have to do one of two things. You either have to be so celebratory with a few light jabs, like Billy Crystal was, like Steve Martin was, like Whoopi Goldberg was, or you truly have to give no fucks, like Ricky Gervais did. And he, like him or not, he set a new standard and a new template for what it is. And Tina and Amy are very similar to Gervais in that way. They sort of gave no fucks in how they did it. And Joe Coy, the worst thing you could be is in the middle. The worst thing you could be is trying to jab, but still celebrate. Like, you either have to fully commit to roasting and being mean, or don't do it at all.
And also, he was making the laziest jokes. That was the issue, too.
Golden Globes moved from NBC to CBS, and so they lost that Lorne Michaels aspect this year. So imagine a world where Golden Globes are on NBC. Is Jimmy Fallon hosting? Is Seth Meyers hosting again? Probably Pete Davidson would be in that list, even though he's had personal issues of late. Maybe a John Mulaney even. Them moving to CBS, they lost that whole section of SNL. Obviously, it came out that they tried to get a couple people to host, and they all said no. The famous ones being Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. They asked them to do it as a trio. They have their podcast, Smartless. Would have been great. They all said no. Ali Wong said no. Chris Rock said no. Apparently, I think I read Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were asked. They said no. Ricky Gervais was asked, and he said no. So they were stuck with, and this was recent. This was like within the last month. They had no host, so they were very much stuck. And last night watching Joe Coy, it felt like they were like, okay, Joe, write your jokes, go do your thing. And right before he came on, they were like, here are a bunch of jokes we wrote for Ricky Gervais. Go out there and burn them. And that's not what Joe Coy does necessarily. And he's a journeyman comedian, so he knows if something bombs, you call it out, and that works so well in the clubs, and that works so well in his stadium shows. But on TV, it felt like he was throwing his
Sounding
writers
bad.
under the bus.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
different audience. It's weird that they didn't get Colbert, is what I'm gonna say. It's weird that Oscars announced Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure they asked Colbert and he said no.
Or Taylor Tomlinson to get her
Or
ready.
Taylor,
for-
yeah, who has her new show coming out.
I was just gonna say, I really turned like with the Barbie joke and the Taylor joke. Those were the two for me that I was just like, this is just like, what are we doing? Like, we're making a joke about like this is a movie about the doll with big boobs, and then we're the award show that's giving the least amount of screen time to Taylor, and it's immediately already a meme. The picture of Taylor immediately swigging like a drink because it's just like it was just like this also was an antithesis of what this entire year was supposed to be about. It's a year of Barbie, and we're like loving women, and then these are the
throwing
kind of
it under
jokes
the
we're
bus.
making. Yeah, and it just really, I think it just really reversed like everything what this night could have been a celebration of. And like the fact that Margot Robbie and Ryan weren't even presenters. Like, why weren't they presenting? Yeah.
I was thinking about the history of hosts and what I look for in a host, and I made a top 5 award show hosts list. Can I read it to you?
Ooh.
Oh.
Please.
I did my homework. All right. Some of these are obvious, but some of them are kind of out there, and my number 5 is kind of out there. Number 5, I actually have Andy Samberg.
He was
Oh.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
He hosted the Emmys, he's hosted the MTV Movie Awards, the Golden Globes, the IFC Awards, and he always does a memorable job. He does sketches that are pre-filmed. His monologues are always good. He's done it with other co-hosts. Famously, Andy Samberg and Sandra Oh hosted the Golden Globes. They did a great job. I think Samberg is a good host, and I think part of it is even if he's doing a character, there's a part of his personality that comes out. Samberg is very much like Adam Sandler in that way, where you're kind of in on the joke and you know who he is, and he does that so well. And I think that translates really well to an award show audience.
He does that thing where he'll pretend to burn people but say a compliment, which he's like done on roasts before, and it's a good bit. That's always funny. Like, you're really
Yeah.
talented and I love you. Roasted. It's a good bit.
My number 4 host of all time, Hugh Jackman. Look at his job hosting the Oscars and hosting the Tony Awards. His Oscar hosting, I think, controversies aside, Dan Harmon wrote his Oscar monologue song, which is one of the funniest. YouTube it, Hugh Jackman's Oscars monologue song. It is so funny. It is so well done.
I'll go rewatch.
Billy Crystal's my number 3. All the times he's hosted the Oscars, he made it. He made it his own. He's the GOAT.
But number 3.
But number 3, my number 2 all-time host, Neil Patrick Harris. Hosted the Tonys, hosted the Emmys. If you are listening to this, YouTube, the opening of the 67th annual Tony Awards, the only time I've ever seen a host perform an opening song that got the longest standing ovation of the night. That the song he performs was also written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's the 67th annual Tony Awards from 2013. Watch that and tell me he's not the best host that's ever done it.
But number 2.
My number 1, Angela Lansbury. Hear me out. Hear me out. Last year I broke my leg in 2 places. I was basically bedridden for a little bit, and I did 2 things during that time. One, I watched every single James Bond movie, which could be that's a future podcast. That's future content for us. And number 2, I watched every Tony Award from 1950 to 1994.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Why did you stop at 94?
Posted because that's when it ran out. They weren't on YouTube anymore.
Oh, okay.
Angela Lansbury hosted the Tony Awards from 87, 88 to 89. The 87 Tony Awards, in between every single category and announcement, she comes out in a new gown. She has like 30 costume changes. And she introduces every person who is presenting, she does not phone it in. Joe Coy came out, did a monologue, came out, introduced one round of people, came out after a commercial and said, "This is the Golden Globes," and then ended it. Angela Lansbury was on screen the most in 1987 out of any host I've ever seen, and that's what I want in a host. I, as an audience, want to watch a show and be like, I am in good hands. This person is leading me and telling me as a viewer how to watch the show. And I feel like award show of late don't really have that. New movies on streaming this week. You have The Killers of the Flower Moon on Apple TV, as well as Lift on Netflix, and Roleplay on Amazon Prime, and Self-Reliance on Hulu. That looked funny. New movies in theaters. We're getting Mean Girls, we're getting The Book of Clarence, and we're getting ... The Beekeeper. Check them out. Let us know how you like them. Back to the show. Let's get into the winners of the night, but first, something very important we need to bring up, you guys. Super important. We had a pool going amongst the three of us. I asked in the last episode, what does the winner win? And Ethan very quickly said, no, what does the loser lose? And I need to say, I won the pool. I didn't do perfect by any means, and it was close. I got 9 right, Ethan got 8, Caroline got 7. But I still won. So let's pick a punishment, shall we? And here's my idea. On January 7th, 2024, the WWE will be putting on their annual Royal Rumble, streaming live on Peacock. Ethan, Caroline, guess what you're going to be doing January 27th? You will be watching the Royal Rumble, and I expect a full, detailed report the next day when we record our podcast. Let's get into the awards. No real surprises, honestly. There was one surprise, which was Best Screenplay. Winning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Cillian Murphy won Best Actor Drama for Oppenheimer. Paul Giamatti, Best Actor Comedy for The Holdovers. Those are top 2 for the Oscars, do you think?
Okay. I think I'm still holding out for a Zac Efron nomination. I think SAG stuff, I don't know. I've still got some feelings that Zac, don't hold out on my guy Zac yet.
I will eat my hat if Zac Efron gets an Oscar nomination. I'll be happy. I like the Iron Claw.
Yeah.
I will straight up eat my hat. Yeah.
I think that it's going to be, if last night was any indication, and I know that this is just a bunch of foreign journalists compared to the actual Academy, I think Oppenheimer is going to win everywhere on Oscar night. And I think that Cillian Murphy's going to win, and I think that it is going to win Best Score, and it's going to win all of the technical awards, and Robert Downey Jr. It's just going to win everything.
That is my prediction as well. And if the Oscars were tomorrow, that would absolutely be where I go. And we'll give our Oscar predictions when the awards come out later this month. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Caroline texted us last night that everyone was booing at the party she was at when Oppenheimer won. I wasn't booing. I was happy. But it's not always a good thing to be such a clear front runner. And something happened last night specifically, which all of the speeches were pretty boring. I actually loved Christopher Nolan's speech where he talked about Heath Ledger.
I thought Lily's speech was amazing.
That's what I was going with. Lily, her speech for winning Best Actress Drama for Killers of the Flower Moon. Lily Gladstone's speech was so far above the rest of the speeches of the night, the rest of the acceptance speeches. So much so, she brought up issues. She talked about how the award is bigger than her, how the award represents the underrepresented. I shouldn't even say underrepresented, the non-represented people. Mm-hmm. was such a good speech. I texted both of you that she just won the Oscar on speech alone.
Yeah.
She would have won for her performance anyway. But the Oscar voter, every one of them is watching the Golden Globes. Every one of them watched that speech and cannot not vote for her. I also think her speech was so good that it might help push Killers to a Best Picture win. Oppenheimer still
And
might
more
get,
people.
but I think
Yeah.
because Oppenheimer is such a clear front runner, Killers might take it.
Well, and Killers is coming out on Apple next week, and it came out still during the strike, so you didn't have Leo on talk shows, and you didn't have De Niro or Scorsese on talk shows. And you're right. I think that her speech might make more people watch the movie, and if more people watch the movie, that's really going to help. I think that Oppenheimer has been the front runner since the summer because, one, everybody saw it, and two, I mean, it certainly is one of the better movies of the year. But I think that you're right about the front runner status point. There's something a bit boring to this whole pomp and circumstance. Like the movie that came out in July and everyone said is going to win Best Picture wins Best Picture. There's something just a bit boring about that storyline.
Animated feature, Boy and the Heron won. Where do you think this is going to go with the Oscars? I do think it's a two-person race. I think it's very much Boy and the Heron versus Spider-Man. It's going to be close.
I think it's going to be Boy and the Heron because you have to think about who the voters of this block are. It's not the common moviegoer. It is a bunch of anime people who, many of them, I'm just thinking about John Lasseter talking about Miyazaki. He is a god to them. They will not pass up the opportunity to vote for him again.
And John Lasseter, famously one of your favorite human beings, right?
Yeah. Name them all. Just name them all. Name a person who got into controversy. I'll tell you how much I love them.
Name them. Sorry.
Love.
Name them.
Love.
I don't like this bit. It's pretty funny, though. To me, the big thing right now is Best Actress, and then we're talking about the Oscars specifically. Best Actress, Best Actor, Supporting Actress, Supporting Actor. I think they're pretty close, all of those, between Cillian, Paul Giamatti, which we already talked about, between Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. Like I said, I think Lily Gladstone has it locked, but there's a lot of love for Emma Stone. And if they're doing rank choice voting, if you weren't on the same wavelength of Killers of the Flower Moon, Emma Stone might be right there.
I know we talked about it a little bit last week when I said, are we sleeping on Leo? And I watched Leo watch Lily Gladstone accept that award, and I thought it's sort of the same with Emma Stone. Like, she doesn't need this. She very well might have been the best actress of the year, but she just doesn't need it the way that Lily Gladstone and that movie and its message and everything she talked about and what it means might need that award. Emma Stone will probably get a second Oscar at some point in her life. Maybe it'll be in a month, but she'll get it at some point.
Supporting actor is hard. Downey Jr. on paper is going to win it. He has a lot of love in the business. He has the great comeback story. He's made everyone million and billionaires. Charles Melton's really good. And here's the thing. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. did the Ke Huy Quan thing where he gave a speech at the Golden Globes and everyone went, that was an amazing speech. I want to hear that speech again. He came up and kind of did his Robert Downey Jr. like, ha ha ha, isn't this cool? I won, blah, 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 blah. I think Charles Melton would have given a speech that made us all cry. And I think voters might want that more, but who knows?
There's no way. There's no way.
I think keep an eye out, because what I was talking about last night was I feel like the SAG Awards have kind of predicted a lot of the stuff at the Oscars the last few years. So I think Charles might have an edge at the SAG Awards in February. I don't know. I'm putting it in stone right now. I think it's going to be Charles. I don't know. I feel it in my bones.
My only other reaction is on the TV side. I love seeing the Bear get all the love, especially for season 2, which was exceptional. But for award show weirdos, the Emmys that are coming in 2 weeks because they were postponed. So those Emmys are technically going to be for season 1 of the Bear, not season 2. So Jeremy Allen White is in 2 weeks going to win 2 Best Actor in a Comedy for 2 different seasons of the same show. Is your mind blown?
Can we do a whole episode about his underwear ad?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can we start right now? This is the most awake I've been the entire episode.
Caroline, did you just headbutt your camera?
Top 3 hot people, Caroline.
Okay,
Coleman
the top-
Domingo,
oh, God,
number
the
1.
top- Okay, the top 3 hot people. Okay, Andrew Scott. I would say Jeremy Allen White. I love the see-through blouse. And this might be controversial, but I liked Barry Keoghan in the red outfit thing.
I thought you looked
It was
great.
hot.
Those are our Golden Globe reactions. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Visit us at ineedtoseethat.com or email us at ineedtoseethatpod@gmail.com.
And I've got a game. I've got a game that's related to the Golden Globes.
Oh, let's do this game related to the Golden Globes.
Okay, everybody. All right. So we know about the Golden Globe ambassador, right? It's I'm calling this the Nepo Baby Parade. All right, everybody. The first Miss Golden Globe was named in 1963. Since 1971, the position has been held by a celebrity's daughter or occasionally a son or both. Parents have fiercely competed for their child to take the role, which is awarded by the HFPA. From among candidates selected by the association's board, being active on social media is part of selection criteria. In 2018, the role was renamed from Miss Golden Globe to Golden Globe Ambassador to make it gender neutral and more inclusive. So these are just a few questions about the Nepo babies, and buzz in by saying Nepo when you think you've got the answer. And the prize is you get a bonus Nepo for yourself to get ahead in Hollywood. So let's see. All right, how you both do. All right, it's a short little game. All right. Question number 1. Who is the first famous mother and daughter to be Ms. Golden Globe?
Nepo.
Okay.
Goldie Hawn and Kate Hudson.
No.
Nepo.
Okay.
Is it Meryl Streep and her daughter whose name I don't remember?
No, and she has more than one daughter that you don't remember.
Gummer. Someone Gummer.
Your hint is actually Ellen. This is an important moment in the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Oh, Nepo.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson and Melanie Griffith.
That's correct. Melanie Griffith
Yes.
was Ms. Golden Globe in 1975. Or no, yeah, 1975, and Dakota Johnson was in 2006. Okay, all right. Ethan's got one. All right, question number 2. In 1982's Ms. Golden Globe's mother was Diane Ladd. Who was their famous Nepo child? Was it
That's what I'm
A?
mad about. I'm so competitive as a human, and I know nothing about celebrities. And this is killing me.
This one should be okay. All right, your options are A, Diane Lane, B, Mariska Hargitay, C, Laura Dern, or D, Uma Thurman.
Nepo.
Okay.
Dern.
Correct. Laura Dern. All right, 1-1 so far.
Speaking of Laura
Okay.
Dern, have you ever watched, and speaking of good hosts, Aubrey Plaza hosted the IFC Awards and did an incredible bit about Laura Dern. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but YouTube,
No.
Aubrey Plaza IFC Award, Laura Dern. It's incredible.
Oh, it was
It's
when they
amazing.
had the chorus
Yeah.
singing. Yeah, that was incredible. Incredible bit. Okay, question number 3. Who was Ms. Golden Globe first? Francesca Eastwood or Catherine Eastwood?
Nepo.
Yeah. I think I heard Eli first.
Francesca.
Go back to Google Doc. No.
Nepo,
Ethan.
not Francesca.
No, he has to say the
Correct.
name. He has to say the name.
It was
$1 million baby.
no. Okay, all right. Neither of you. I get the Nepo point. Catherine was in 2005, and Francesca was in 2013, and they are half sisters. They are half sisters. Everybody.
By the way, I want to do an
Clint
entire
Eastwood.
episode about Clint Eastwood's relationship history and parenting, because it is dark and messed up, and you can like him as a filmmaker, but as a human, there are questions about Clint
Well,
Eastwood.
I want to do a whole episode about his mayoral stint in Carmel by the Sea, which I was just in, and thanks to Clint Eastwood, you can eat ice cream outside.
So your rebuttal to me saying he's a horrible person and wanting to do a podcast about him was to immediately say, I want to do a podcast where we defend Clint Eastwood.
John Lasseter is a really important person.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, question number 4. 2017 marked a big first. Not one, but 3 second-generation future actors and entertainers were chosen for the role as Miss Golden Globe. What is the birth order of the 3 Stallone sisters who were Ms. Golden Globe in 2017? Their names are Sophia, Sistine, and Scarlett.
Sistine.
Buzzing.
Nepo.
All right, their names. Okay, yeah. What do you think is their birth order?
I'm going to go with Scarlett, Sistine, and Sophia.
You're wrong.
Nepo.
All right, Eli.
Sophia, Sistine, Scarlett.
You got the point. That is correct. Sistine Stallone. Just let that sit with you. He's a man. He can run up the steps, but I don't know if he can name a child. But anyways, all right. Question number 5. All right, it's 2-1, Eli. How many degrees removed from Kevin Bacon is Sosie Bacon?
Nepo.
Yes, Ethan.
It's his daughter.
That's right. How many is
That
that?
wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question.
One.
All right, I think we'll give it to Ethan just to amp up the stakes. All right, we're 2-2. All right, I got 2 more questions. Who was the very first Mr. Golden Globe?
Nepo. Mm-hmm. John David Washington.
No.
That was a good guess, though.
That was a good guess.
Ethan, remind me, what Woody Allen's son's name? Oh, yeah, Nepo.
Yeah,
Ronan Farrow.
No, he's actually not been Mr. Golden Globe. Okay, I can give you 2 options.
And that's Frank Sinatra's son, not Woody Allen's son, just to be clear.
To be clear, that is correct. All right, your options are A, Freddie Prinze Jr., or B, John Clark Gable.
Nepo. Freddie Prinze Jr.
No,
Nepo.
Yeah,
John
Ethan.
Clark Gable.
that's correct. He was Mr. Golden Globe in 1995. He was Clark Gable's only biological son, and Clark Gable was married 5 times.
Real
yeah.
quick, very important. Freddie Prinze Jr. spent some of his post-acting career as a writer for the WWE. You'll learn more about this in my WWE podcast episode in preparation for you two watching the Royal Rumble on January 27th.
Oh boy, Ethan, did you know we were doing a wrestling podcast?
No,
Yeah.
I did not.
All right, and our last question: who is the father of the first Golden Globe ambassador? Her name, and that was in 2018. Her name is Simone Garcia Johnson.
Nepo. Mm-hmm. The Rock.
Yes, correct. I think that means
It is a wrestling podcast.
yeah. I think Ethan won nepotism. Good
Yes!
job, Ethan.
Thank
Good job,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
I tried to look up who the ambassadors were last night, and they didn't pull up on the internet. I think they were filmmakers' children, so not anyone, no celeb exciting.
Well, we have a reoccurring bit on the show called Ethan's Reluctant Review, where we make Ethan watch a movie he absolutely does not want to watch and would never watch on his own. This week we made him watch Beyond the Sea, starring and directed by Kevin Spacey. Ethan, how did that go?
It was a tough first movie to watch in 2024. This movie is not very good because it's as generic of a music biopic as possible. There are some really good parts to it. But overall, Walk Hard made fun of this movie so relentlessly that it's difficult to enjoy something like this. In fact, note number 19 is I want to watch Walk Hard again.
How many notes did you take?
For this movie, I took 48 notes. I watched this movie for free on YouTube.
All right, let's hear note number 2.
Note number 2, a lot of white men in suits start this movie.
Number 13.
Okay, so every time I got an ad on YouTube, I wrote down what the ad was. So this was ad number 2, is a tiny heater made from a Coke can?
Note 23.
Splish Splash, I was taking a bath, is performed with a wig. The wig is a big deal in Bobby Darin's life. Bobby Darin would not have succeeded had it not been for his toupee.
Good for Bobby Darin.
Yeah.
Note number 30.
Ad number 5, Kia Sorrento.
Note 42.
Note number 42. There's no notes about the movie. Ad number 9, Crohn's disease medicine.
And that's Ethan's review of Beyond the Sea.
Wait, no, because the one thing that I am going to do, because you're making me watch this movie and the character I play on this podcast is someone who defends Me Too, accused, is I am going to say that now it is time to play our favorite game. Ethan asks Eli and Caroline the difficult question, which is this. Can you enjoy somebody's art from a bad person?
I love this question. And here's why it's hard. One of my favorite movies of the last, I don't know how long it's been, is Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. I think it's a wonderful, incredible movie. And if it's on TV, I'll watch it. And every time I have that hard moment of like, Woody Allen is a monster. Can I enjoy this? I don't know. Like, my wife and I were talking about rewatching Buffy. Can we rewatch Buffy?
And how awful is that you, like, not everybody's Joss Whedon, right? Like, there are other people that wrote that show and act on that show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way with Harry Potter. It's so frustrating. Joanne could have just sat there. She could have sat on those stacks of cash. She could have been silent. And yet, here she is, always on Twitter saying something, whatever. And it's ruined what was like so joyful about Harry Potter, and it does leave a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't enjoy it the way that I used to. So I think it's harder to, I don't know, for me, it's like, it doesn't have the same enjoyment as I did before if I try to watch those things or listen to the music. I don't know. It's hard.
So since the question was yes or no, and it sounds like you want an answer, my answer is yes, you can, with an asterisk. And that asterisk is you can watch it as long as you are not, as long as the person who has been canceled is not actively saying, if you watch Beyond the Sea, you like me and you're on my side. As long as you're watching it separate from Ethan's inevitable defense of Kevin Spacey.
I do have Ethan's next movie on deck.
Okay.
All right, this is one of the highest grossing films of 2023. Let me read you the plot synopsis. After rescuing a boy from ruthless child traffickers, a federal agent learns a boy's sister is still captive and decides to embark on a dangerous mission to save her. With time running out, he quits his job and journeys deep into the Colombian jungle, putting his life on the line to free her from a fate worse than death. Ethan is watching Sound of Freedom.
This is very important. That's streaming on Amazon Prime. Ethan's algorithm is going to see him go from Beyond the Sea to Sound of Freedom.
Nobody
Very
watched Beyond the Sea on YouTube.
Yeah, hey, they all talk. Unless he's using
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo, not a sponsor. They all talk.
Wow.
Well, that's it. That's our show. Next week, we have a very important episode. It is our first annual Golden Krupnesses, or did we land on that name?
I don't think we did. The Golden Naps.
Golden Nash. Nash.
It's the first annual Golden Nash. It's our very own movie award show. We're not going to Golden Globes this. We're going to have a good time. This is going to be a real party. That's it. That's our show. See you next week. Bye.
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 John Lasseter is a really important person